the moment I'm up in the shady area and looking at the sunshine at the moment, you wouldn't think it gets shade at all, but it does. I'll show you why I call it the shady area. And this tree, that's a lovely tree, and this year it's not coming into leaf quite as fast as it did last year, but over time it will, and it'll cast some of that shade. But the shade really only comes in here in the morning. So when I'm planting it, or when I started planting it up, I had to be very mindful of that fact. And I quite like it actually. I quite like this area. It's one of the first areas that I really worked on as far as design goes. I guess it was this little bit here that I first started working on. Hello, people. Yeah, this section here, this is a race section, and when we first moved here, I used this as a bit of a dumping ground. All this area, and where the trees, I've dumped loads and loads of shrubs and bits of crap basically that came out of the garden as I started work on it, and I thought I'd killed that tree. That's Prunus cerasifera bisardii nigra, call it what you will. There's lots of them, lots of different types, and basically that's what it is. It's an ornamental cherry, but it's very, very nice. It's at its ultimate height now, so it's not likely to grow any bigger, and it's probably getting on now, so I don't know how much longer it's going to live, but I'm trying to do some rejuvenating pruning. So over the last few years, that's what I've been doing. Over the last 3 years at least, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to rejuvenate it. Yeah, so going back to this. So I built this area, excuse me, I built this area to put a swing on it originally. And Kathy had asked that could she have a swing in the garden, so I set about doing it and built the area up because it dropped away quite a lot. And I was going to put a couple of posts up. I'd already got her the swing. I had a special birthday present made for her. I had a bee carved into it and all sorts, and I've still got that. And then I was going to fix it here, and she decided she didn't want it here, so it never got put in. I will use it again at some point rather. Now, this is the dumping ground, isn't it, this bit here? I just throw the turf that I remove out of borders gets dumped into this area. And it's typical, isn't it? When you want grass to grow, it never grows. When you don't want it to grow, as here, it just goes wild. And as I said, I just literally dump turf here. And it does so well. But I have to keep spraying it off because I want this to be a garden rather than just a dumping ground. And it will become that over time. Now, earlier in the year, I put a load in. I did turn them upside down. I do turn turf upside down. I've been doing gardening a long time, so I know what I'm doing. But as I said, it's decided it's going to beat me and carry on growing. So I will have to reach for the spray, and I will have to spray that off because I want to keep the soil that's there, and there's no other way of doing it apart from people will say, well, why don't you cover it? Well, waste of time, because over time that'll just grow back again once I take the cover off. No matter how long you leave it on, I found over time that it still comes back, turf and weeds. So it's better to spray it off and just have done with it, and then you can begin work on it. There's one of the last hostas here. Trying to think what that one would be. Sargay. That's Hosta Sargay. And it's a very nice one actually, but again, the slugs are at it. It'll be the last hosta that I have to remove. Well, there's one other one, but I'm thinking of leaving the other one where it is. I'd like to leave that if I can, but look at it. This is what we get. it's so soul destroying when the slugs do this to the asters, because asters are beautiful plants. But anyway, we'll deal with that as we go along. So the Bruneras continue to flower their socks off. And I've said before, this is the best year that I've ever seen Bruneras for flower. And that's the forget-me-not type flower. And it won't stop flowering. I don't mind too much, but I do really want to see the leaf on this one. This is Alexander's Great. See if we can find a nice leaf. There we go. So it has this wonderful leaf pattern. Look at that, a little slug on here. Slug, snail. Them snails don't seem to affect these. They've had a go at it, but they don't seem to affect it too much. So I need it to stop flowering. I will miss them when they've gone, the flowers, but I want to see the leaf now. As I said, this is a shady area. We've got this digitalis, which is a perennial one. There's lots of different perennial foxgloves. There's only digitalis purpurea that's truly a biennial that I'm aware of anyway. And this one's called Stewartii. It's a yellow one. It gets quite tall. And it was new to me 2 years ago. And it flowered last year. And it's produced some seedlings underneath it. I see I've got some others that I'm growing on in the greenhouse. I want more of those. I want them all over the garden. This is a Strantia, just a Jill Richardson selection. Not my own, not the Muriel's gift I talk about, but this is nevertheless a good one. Got all the bits and bobs in here. And this is by far my favourite plant in this section anyway. And it's Acer aconitifolium that I talk about. And it's wonderful. If you want a really nice looking leaved Acer, I can only recommend this one really. Because it's so good and it has these wonderful autumn colours as autumn kicks in. I mean, they're absolutely stunning. Once it does kick in, I think it gets to about 12 foot. And I shall selectively prune as we go along. I've already been doing it. I lost one branch too many, to be honest with you. I had to reshape it. It was going the wrong way, so I had to lose a bigger branch than I wanted to. But sometimes you've got to make these sacrifices. And below it, I've got Podophyllus spotty dotty. And remember, I lost Spotty Dotty. I didn't know where it was, and I bought another one. And lo and behold, I spotted this one about a week and a half ago. And here it is. This is where I planted it. I forgot. This is a sweet pea, this. It's really dinky and it does well in shade, supposedly. And it's called Lathyrus vernus. Produces this tiny little flower. So it's a sweet pea family. More of a shrub. And it's underneath this Anamanthi lilesoniana, the pheasant tail grass. And that's doing exceptionally well in here, but it's overcrowding this. It's only a little shrubby pea, but I want to move that. Fully intend to move it. No. I thought I'd got a miscanthus growing here. I just realised I've used a bamboo. No, miscanthus leaf to mark the spot where this is. And again, that's Brunera. That's a seedling. I'm quite excited by seedlings. I like to find them. Got a bit of an unusual leaf there. Almost split at the end. That'll change as it comes on. Now this one, I've forgotten what it is. It's a stunning little plant. I've got the labels somewhere. I do tend to put them with them, as you know. I complain all the time that I lose labels. And yet again, this label is missing. But this is a bit of a stunner. It's a Solomon seal type plant. But I can't remember which one. It's a very nice one. So today, just give you a clue as to what I'm going to show next. This. So forget the owl, that was bought. I bought that a couple of years ago. But these I bought probably longer than that ago. They're all gramophone speakers, and I have two of them. There were three, but I missed out on the third one because I like things in 3s and 5s and 7s, as you know. So I bought them with the intentions of putting them onto some sort of a stick or a stalk. That's what I've done. I did it today. Got it done. It looks good. I like it. So it's another wacky feature. And because I haven't got the three, we're just playing about with this at the minute. We've decided that maybe the owl will look good and create that three structure, and it does look all right. So what I really want from them is to sit them in some sort of a flower border, because I wanted these to represent flowers. And here they don't really do that, because as I said, I'm in the shady garden at the moment. It's not shady at all. So they're quite nice, these. What else have we got in here? All sorts, really. Begonias. I've got into my begonias. I've got several different varieties. I think that's a white one, this particular one. And I know I haven't got the label for that, because again, that was given to me by a friend who just tells me what it is and hopes I'll remember, and I never do. So another begonia there, and another one over there. So I'm collecting them, getting a bit of a collection going. You got to be careful not to get too much into collecting. You get carried away sometimes. So I've got a helenium here, and this is the one that we, again, same friend, we don't have the name of. She got it from her sister-in-law, who didn't know what she had, and it's a yellow one, and it's probably one of the longest lasting ones in flower that I've got. And it gets to about 4 or 5 foot. Obviously it's not there yet. And then this grass is a miscanthus, and it's a sinensis type, and it's called Goliath. And believe it or not, there is one called David as well, and I used to have two here. One was Goliath and one was David. But this one didn't end well, because I'm afraid Goliath did slew David in this case. He died. He's gone. And it's the flower seed head that's it's named after, really. It's quite big, very tall when it comes up. The seed head itself is quite long and elongated. The plant itself is quite robust and big. And it's looking great now. Now, as I said, I'm in the shady area, but not everything in this garden is shady, because up to this point here, we always have a point where we get a lot of sun, and kind of where I am now there, that's where the sun kicks in most of the day, irrespective of the tree. So I have to bear that in mind when I'm planting things. So I've got this Achillea here, and this one is Credo, and it's an Ernst Pagels one. And I'm a big Ernst Pagels fan, because he produced a lot of the miscanthus types. In fact, I believe Goliath is one of his. So back in the day, he's no longer with us, but he produced some of the best miscanthuses that's around. Again, in this area, we've got this. This is Euphorbia, as I showed you down the garden the other day. This is Euphorbia Excalibur, a shrubby type. I love it. Absolutely love it. Got another Achillea here. I bought this one from some garden centre, which I don't like to go to garden centres, as you know, but I needed a white plant at the time. So which one we got here? Vintage white. New vintage white, if there is such a thing. And it is a white one. It's quite nice, actually. I quite like it. Now, I've planted quite a tall liatris here, and a lovely liatris. I'm going to look at the label on this one, because I bought this from Ben up at Cliffbank Nursery. If you get a chance, look him up on the internet. And it's called, it's hard to say this actually, Cynostatia. And I will show you the label so you can look it up. There you go. Don't know if I pronounced it right, but this is supposedly a really tall variety of Liatris, so I'm quite excited by that because I really like Liatris. I've got weeds in here, grass weeds. This is related to Ophiopogum planiscarpus nigrescens, but this is the green form of it. And you've got to be careful because the greener forms tend to run a little bit. Now this has been in 2 years, and it's never run. It's only ever got bigger. In fact, I reckon that's got an ant nest in there. Yes, it has. I could see that there's some soil in there, and the ants have made their way up there. I don't know if, there you go, they're coming on my fingers now. Get them off. Yeah, they're in there. They like coming into grasses. It's a bit annoying for me because I'm a bit of a grass man, as you know. And they tend to attack a lot of my grasses. Now also in here, we've got this, which is Veronicastrum virginicum, and I think this is fascination. So it's looking pretty good at the minute. It's got quite a lot of plants. We've got the usuals, the geraniums in there, several different geraniums in there. Anything else of note? Oh, some alliums. I can't remember which I planted. Allium. I think I know what that one is. I think that's allium, the dark one. The dark one. Allium. Oh, it's got a scent. It's a really nice one. I'll remember the name in a minute. That's a really nice scented one and very, very dark as well. There's more alliums here, so yeah, I've got lots of alliums in this garden. Some just coming out and some not coming out. Yeah, just looking around, see if I can see out else of interest. That Astrantia is looking very good. Really good. I'm liking that. So this garden actually drops away into the gravel area. It's part of the gravel area, really. And this border, as I keep saying, is fairly new because I had to remove this spirea, which I think was Argutifolia, and it's quite big. And where that tree with the little flapping label is, that's where it stood, and it must have been 4 foot high by about 4 foot wide, and it was taking up a lot of ground space, and it was full of weed all the way around it. So I've built up the area in this area, built up the ground, sorry, in this area. And it's not obvious again here, but it was on quite a lean at that point. 1 or 2 trees in here. This is Sorbus, this little tiny one. We did a tree video, didn't we, the other week? And this is Sorbus Eastern Promise. A very small tree. So if you're looking for a small tree, Sorbus Eastern Promise is a potential for you. It's very small at the moment. It's still a baby. Now, I bought this from my friend the other day, and I said, "Can I buy a Melianthus off you?" And I was totally thrown. Now, I'm a good plantsman. I know my plants when I'm not forgetting the names of some of them. And it's not. It's a Sanguisorba. It's called Lilac Squirrel. And it's just amazing. I don't know how he's managed to get these this good. It's amazing. So I look forward to that because the flower on these are beautiful. So this has still got some growing to do yet. Quite a lot, but as I said, it's attached to the shady border. So technically I should be putting shadier type plants in here, but it gets loads of sun, so you can't do that. This Nyphophia is amazing. I shall show more on that as it gets going. It's a late season flowerer. And it's a beauty. It must make, I'd say in flower, 6-7 foot. So it's a massive one. Absolutely huge. Some of my grasses, I plant there's another grass in here. I think this is Mega Dot. Yeah, this is Mega Dot, so it's going to produce some striping at some point. Oh, I forgot to name this, and it's Nyphophia uvaria. Huge, massive one. Anyway, back to this. So we've got some more grasses in here, and this is another Calamagrostis, and I planted this up last year in a different formation to this, and I looked at it and I thought, do you know what, it'd be nice to plant these closer together to give us a bigger clump. And it's a bit of a dry area just in this section, and this Calamagrostis would prefer a more damper area, so some of them are looking a little bit skinnier than I'd expect, but they are going to produce seed heads nevertheless. They'll do that. Oh, Uvaria nobilis, by the way. Memory. Anyway, so we've got another Helenium here, the same one as I showed a minute ago, quite tall. I can't wait for that to get going because it is a tall one as well, and it just flowers. It flowered for about 2 months last year, maybe 2.5 months, never stopped. It's a yellow form. This is valerian, and I've always had valerian officinalis, and it's actually a herb. Don't know what they use it for, but I love this one because it has this wonderful scent when it starts coming out, and I allow it to self-seed. And typically, I've not found one in the last year and a half that I've had it in here. It should have set seed last year, but I've not found any. I'm usually pretty good at spotting that one because it's quite obvious because it's a red type. We'll get there with it. So the euphorbia behind that's another selected form, and it's quite a big one. That one. It's a wolfenii still. It's euphorbia wolfenii, or a subspecies of Caracias, and I just selected it as being quite a nice one. I've got Perotia here, the ironweed, and it just has these leaves will remain like this all year, and it'll become more of a shrub than the tree. So that's all it is anyway. But I do really like it. It's called Persian Spire. And as I said before, I love columnar type trees and shrubs, and that is no exception. So it's Persian Spire, and it's going to work its way up through these Chamassias eventually. These Chamassias are nearing the end now, so they'll be going pretty soon, and we'll be able to chop them back. Chamassias can be very invasive, remember that. They can set seed all over if you don't control them. This is Achillea grandiflora. Is it still called Achillea grandiflora? I've probably got the label somewhere. I'm sure it's still called Achillea grandiflora. And it's really, really nice. Got it somewhere. It's grown so big this year. It's the best I've seen it in the 3 years it's been in there. I've never moved this one. I just planted a little stub 3 years ago, and it's looking wonderful now. Chrysocoma grandiflora, I do believe. Achillea chrysocoma. It's coming back to me as I walk round. This is Elianthus. Is it Lemon Beauty? I believe. It's nice. It's a bit boring, really, to be quite honest with you. I prefer the bigger Elianthus, the tall ones, and this is more of a shrubbing one. Obviously, that's not going to be flowering until July, August. And then we've got loads more alliums in this area. And this is Summer Drummer again. I love Summer Drummer. It's so dramatic. It really vies for attention. Very nice. Yeah, I've got a couple of Millennias in this area. One of them's Windspiel, and one of them's Storm Cloud. Which one's which? This one's Storm Cloud. As its name suggests, it's kind of stormy and cloudy. And then Windspiel, I think it's Windspiel. I put them all over. It could be probably Cal Forster or something, who knows. No, it is Windspiel. I like my grasses, and I especially like Millennias. So if you Going to get hold of a Malinia, try and get Windspiel. If you can't get any other, get Windspiel. It's a beauty, and it's its seed edge. You bite for the seed edge. You don't bite for the little clumping grass, because that's all they are at this time of year. You don't bite for that. When I come back and do a more of a grass one, as the seed heads start, you'll see exactly why I have both of those. Now this here is called Clasia bulgarica, and I was told that this was sterile. I don't believe it, because the seedling's all over, so whatever I read, I must have been misinformed. And here is the proof. I've already pulled one out because I need to test them, see if they are Clasia bulgarica seedlings, and I'm sure they are. Absolutely positive they are. There you go. That's Sorbus scalarius. He's looking good. It's the commixter type. Really nice. Look at the flowers on that. The bees love them. I think these have a bit of a scent. No, not really. I thought they did have. No, got the don't. But they're quite impressive. So that border's looking a little bit boring. I mean, there's a lot of soil, isn't there, in there? And I don't worry too much about it at the minute. There's a lot of growing to do. There's a miscanthus in here that's not. It's a fine type of miscanthus anyway, this particular one. But I think I've planted it a little bit deep. I don't think I planted it deep. I've put loads of soil and I've mistakenly pulled too much towards it. So maybe I need to lift that and lift it higher and sit it back in. It's called Kupperswerg. And it means copper kettle. And it's a very nice, small to medium in growth. So that's probably 3 foot up to 6, no bigger. That's really nice. This is the view we get of Grassy Bottom, 1933 Art Deco bungalow. It's like the TARDIS when you go in there. It's a lot bigger than it appears. I've got the box edging looking lovely now, and I've explained before that I actually cut these at an angle. So you can't immediately make it where it goes like that way, and then the other way it goes the other way. And that's how I shall cut all of them. They're looking good. And up in the north of Lincolnshire of England, we don't really suffer with the dreaded box blight or the box caterpillar as of yet. You can see from all this fresh growth how good it is, how well it grows here. So, just thought I'd give you a little look into that. We'll show you the bamboo again. That's Famna calmus, that's looking good. That was deliberately placed there because it does require a little bit of shade and a little bit of sun, so it gets both. And these box balls fully intend over time, and they're starting to do it now. I could have planted them a little bit closer, but I'm going to allow them to grow into each other, and I'm going to keep the round shapes. I'm going to mess about with the shapes as they join each other, and we'll keep almost a cloud type shape into them. They're going to be all right over time. This is another Calamagrostis. It's getting close. And this is called Eldorado. It's a goldy coloured one with a mid stripe that's gold. And it's a stunner, that one. I love it. It's quite nice. They're still not as good as Carl Forster's, but these have a different kind of attribute, really. And that's the main feature, is that colour. Whereas Carl Forster's a plain green, but Carl Forster stands and he's taller and skinnier and a lot better. But nevertheless, that is still really, really nice. I've got this geranium, and I bought these off a friend who has a nursery, and I bought it with a geranium in it. And I've not been able to get the geranium out at all. I've actually lifted it and removed the geranium, or so I thought last year. And yet, here we are. It's back again, and it's about to flower, so I've decided I've either got to kill it off with some sort of a weed killer, with a touch weed killer, or I've just got to leave it, accept it, and I might just leave it and accept it. This is a Stachys, and it's a really nice one, but I've noticed yet again, it suffers. It suffers mildew by the looks of it, and I've harped on about this one, how nice it is, but it seems to suffer mildew. So I probably need to either get rid of it, or there's a label here, I'm looking for the label. I probably need to, because I can see puffing around, it's just full of mildew. And last year it looked terrible. It's been looking really good at the moment, and now suddenly that mildew is taking over. What a shame. What a shame. It's everywhere on it. So I'll do a bit of investigation to see if this is prone to it, because they shouldn't be. They should not be prone to it, so it could be where I've put it. That could be causing it. And is probably the likely cause of it. So we may have to lift that, take it out completely, put the ordinary one in, Stachyus byzantina, and oh yeah, I was going to find the label, I didn't find the label. Waffling again, aren't I? Here's the label. Helen von Steen. So there you go. Let's get you it. There you go. So if you want to buy it, Helen von Steen. It's in the right area. I don't. It's actually, I believe it's called Countess Ellen von Steen, although that doesn't say it. So this area, like all areas up at Grassy Bottom at the minute, still growing, still coming into growth. Still a lot to do in this area, but generally I'm happy with how it's going at the moment, and with the planting, and some of the planting in the top, the border at the top there, which is what I call the pergola border. It's got a little bit of work to be done on it yet, to be honest. I just want to see what works and what doesn't, like that Stachyus. You know, it's not doing what it should be doing, so we might have to move it, as I said. Before I go, we'll just take a quick look at this entrance here. We've got Hylotelepheums, the old sedums. This is Carfunkelstein, and it's now going into its darker colour. And it will go a really dark shade of purple, like Purple Emperor. Really deep purple. There's another one across there. It's looking all right as well. And I've put it next to another miscanthus, as you can imagine. And we've got some more weedy grass growing in, so let's do it. Let's get rid of it while we're here. Or we'll forget. There you go, that's better. You interloper. So this is miscanthus, and this is called Samurai. And I like the name Samurai. I've got a hack in the cloud called Samurai. It's a miscanthus sinensis, and it starts off with this diffused purple look, and it carries on. It actually comes in a little bit more and a little bit better as it gets going. So again, that's definitely one to seek out. The other one that does it is one called Miscanthus sinensis Garner, and that has the same sort of thing. But this is a mid, probably top end of small, but mid-sized grower. He's really nice. I was pleased to get hold of that one. So here's the Flintstones arch. As you know, I'm going to be putting more of those up. I think I've located somebody that can sell me some more telegraph poles. So we shall be in touch with them and see if they've got any. And there you go. Looking pretty good. The whole thing is looking fairly good. Quite happy with that, and it does look great from in the house as well. I have my art studio in one of those in the right-hand window there, and I get to look out on this. And that part of its design has been based on me being sat in there. I'll show you what sort of view I get. There's me in the window with my silver platinum blonde, shall we call it. Oh, they're looking good, aren't they? I'm here. That's looking beautiful, that. Maritime. Stunning. Anyway, so I'm not in the house at the minute, obviously, but this is the view I get from within. So it's all been based on that. And it's a great view. And on that pergola we have lights at night that light up, some little fairy lights. I'll do a little bit more about this bottom end as things get a little bit further on, because there's one or two interesting plants in there. I'll do a bit of a close-up talk on that on another video. There you go. Little talk about the shady border. Okay, I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da.